caucus and the Democratic convention coming up. And so we wanted to be able to give people information about what's going on and how they can be a delegate if they choose. We have a caucus coming up on March 5th. I am part of Ward 18 committee, so is Peter, and here comes Roy. And we're looking for, not only are we looking for delegates, but we're also looking for people in the community who are doing community work who wants to be part of Ward 18. I think Ward 18 got a bad rap years ago, but it's a fresh slate now. There's new people and we're doing things. So if you all want to introduce yourself, I'll start with Peter and then Helena and then Roy. So go ahead, take it away, Peter.
Okay, well, my name is Peter Dudeney. I live in Ward 18, the Roslindale section, just a little corner of Ward 18. I haven't, in my life been very politically active, and so getting involved with Ward 18 has sort of changed, my activities and my perspective. That what I do can have a local effect and can have, an impact on the state through, and that is to say, on all of my neighbors across the Commonwealth. These days, I don't want to get caught in this trap of I can't do anything, and so being involved with Ward 18 has really opened a door for me to activism and inspiration. So, anything more you'd like to know about me?
How did you live in Rossi? I live in Rossi. I think Roy lives in Rossi. Helena's in Hyde Park, but we have a lot of members from Hyde Park on the ward. So Helena, give us your. I know you do a lot of work it's the Belnick Family Association.
Yes.
In Hyde Park.
Thank you. I've been a resident of the Hyde Park area since 1974. I am currently the president of Belnell Family Neighborhood Association. I will say that we are definitely a boots on the ground neighborhood association. We're always out doing something driven by some particular initiative that's important to our community, our larger community of Hyde Park, and maybe even the city of Boston. So we are definitely a boots on the ground neighborhood association. And I'm really proud to be in Ward 18 and to see these new innovative changes that will be coming this way and being part of that, which is so necessary for our community, which is very, very, very diverse. So thank you for having me here today.
Thank you for being here. And Roy, how are you? Good morning.
Good. Good morning. Hi, Priscilla. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me on your show. Yes, I also live in Roslindale, like Peter. I've been here for 10 years with my wife. We have a 7-year-old daughter. She does not go to school here. She goes to school at the Henderson Inclusion School in Dorchester. But we love Roslindale. We're very engaged in the community in different ways, RVMS and, community activities like the farmers market and things like that. But similar to Peter, I would say getting involved with the Ward 18 Democratic Ward Committee has been a real learning experience for me, and a very rewarding experience to work in solidarity with my neighbors, both in Roslindale and Mattapan and Hyde Park, and working across, the different racial groups. I think is wonderful. I think we need more of that in this country. We need more, much, much more. We need more democracy, and we need more, interracial cooperation and solidarity building. So I think that what we're doing is very important in our corner of the world, and very rewarding, because we're getting to know each other. We're getting to learn about our needs, and we're not just learning, we're rolling up our sleeves and we're trying to do something about it and make things better. Because Ward 18, when I first moved here, had no meetings. The Democratic Party, no meetings, no website, no social media page. You could not get the bylaws. I tried for 2 years to get a copy of the bylaws, both as a Democrat. And then again, I tried another tactic. I write a column for the Dorchester Reporter. And I tried to reach out to the secretary of the committee to get the bylaws as a journalist. And, it's kind of like basic, it should be basic information. They never even, you didn't even get a response. It's like nothing.
Did they have any bylaws?
I don't even know if they, I don't even know if they had bylaws. So, so yeah, I just felt like it was a kind of, they were more, it was almost like civic disengagement. It was more of a barrier to participation. I didn't see them doing any civic engagement, voter registration, getting people excited about the caucus, unless you were part of their select, group of insiders. And, we weren't satisfied with that. The more I spoke to people and I learned a little bit more, local residents, people that had been in Rosendale longer than I had, said, oh yeah, Ward 18, the ward committee, it's so old school that, they're from another era. They don't do things like that. So when I heard that there was an effort to run, to an opportunity to run for the ward committee, I was very excited, and I'm so glad that we did it, and we won handily 2 years ago, and now
has it been 2 years? Jeepers.
Yeah. Yeah, and the pandemic hit, and I remember running for when we ran. I remember knocking on doors, and we went into I live around the corner from a housing development, and ringing doorbells, knocking on doors, and talking to my neighbors, and a number, mostly people of color. I spoke to a number of families and voters, and folks were telling me, "You're the first person that's ever knocked on our door for this purpose." I never even heard of the ward committee. What is that? What does it do? People, but people were very interested. And then you saw them a week later. I saw them at the polls, on election day. And there they were, kind of fist in hand, like, yeah, we're behind you. We support you. This is great. We need more democracy. And it was so wonderful and energizing. Yes. When we get engaged and talk to our neighbors, it is so energizing, and we tend to think of politics as being kind of depressing sometimes, but when you actually do it at the local level, it's exciting, because you're meeting your neighbors, and you're working together with your neighbors. And to me, that's pretty much the most important thing.
Yes, I totally agree. This is like, I've lived in Rosendale since 2006, and but my work was always in Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan. So I really didn't even do a whole lot in Rosendale. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't tend to meet. I didn't do anything. But then once when I ran for office in 2019, and I ran citywide, and I was like just really excited, because people were looking for change, and people wanted change. I didn't get elected, but that's okay. I think it's better that I didn't get elected, because that next year, that's when COVID hit, so that would have probably that's another world. Everything just turns upside down for us. So, but the reason why I invited you all on today is because I am a member of the ward committee. I was elected with a lot of other people. We have 35 new people, and it's called the Fresh Slate. And some are involved and some aren't. And so what we want to do is we want 100% participation. We want all those people that were voted in to participate, because this is an election where we get to elect a new governor, a new lieutenant governor, a new auditor,
attorney
general. I mean, the
Secretary of the Commonwealth. Secretary of the Commonwealth.
Secretary of State, yeah. So
and you should mention that Tanisha Sullivan is part of our Fresh Slate. and she's running
Right.
for Secretary of State.
Exactly. And, I would like to see her in that position because of the work that she's done with the NAACP, I think
It's
that,
interesting, Priscilla. I'll just say little history. My wife and I worked on John Bonifaz's campaign for Secretary of State, and most people probably don't remember that campaign. But John Bonifaz was the founder of the National Voting Rights Institute, and was doing very innovative work on voting rights. And he challenged Secretary Galvin, and Galvin refused to debate him. Just refused to debate. I remember going to Somerville City Hall. John Bonifaz debated an empty chair because Galvin didn't show up. And I'm thinking,
I don't want to cut you off, but I think when people get like comfortable with their seats, they feel like they don't have to show up. And that to me says, well, then that's disrespectful because you're running to represent us, but yet you can't even come to a debate. So that right there would have turned me off. But I don't
exactly.
But from what I understand, that our present Secretary of State has turned down different things that we have wanted, but I feel like it's time for a change. So tell me, Peter.
Yes.
Were you weren't part of the old ward either, right? So nobody.
No, I was not. I'm in the Mount Hope, Canterbury neighborhood, and one of the big activists there is Rick Yoder and his wife Lisa Beatman. Those guys are a powerhouse, and being friends with Rick, he said, "Come along and meet some people," and one thing led to another, and when the slate was put together, they said, "How about you? Why not you?" Me? Okay, all right. And so I stepped forward, and it was exciting, just as you said, Roy. People were very, very curious that the ward system existed.
Recording in progress.
And so it led to great conversations and a lot of enthusiasm, which I'd like to continue to build on.
And I think we can do it. Helena, I tried to reach you last night. You were knocking on doors.
For a whole nother cause.
but you're the president of a neighborhood association. So, these neighborhood associations, it seems like, that they should be included as part of the Ward 18 committee. It's like getting involved, because I know that we have community meetings. We invite the community in because we don't want it just to be about the ward committee, people that are on the ward committee. We want it to be about the community, period.
Yes.
And so Ward 18, for people who don't know, is one of the largest wards in the city of Boston. And so, there's Hyde Park, Mattapan, and Roslindale that make up this Ward 18. And I really didn't know a lot about the wards either and what they did, but you can really get involved with your community when you are part of a ward committee that's functioning, okay? And so that's doing work that, that's out talking to the people, reaching the people, letting the people know that we can make change. That's my motto is we are the people, we have the power. And we do, we just have to utilize it, And so, I'm happy that we had a community meeting last week by Zoom. And so I believe we have quite a few delegates that are, do you know how many we have, Roy?
I could check let me check the spreadsheet to see how many people have responded so far. Give me one sec.
Okay. And so we want people that are involved, that are concerned, that we don't want people to be there just because to say that they're on a ward. I mean, we have a lot of people that are on Ward 18 actually did run for political office. It was amazing how many people, it was like everybody ran for District 5, which was is now on the ward. Everybody, you know, and there was other folks that ran at large, you know, that are now on the ward committee.
Well,
So Priscilla, to answer your question, I'm looking at the spreadsheet. We have a Google form, just so your listeners can know, we have a Google form. You can find it on our website, the Ward 18 website, which I'll share. If you click that link, it'll take you to a form, very simple form to fill out your interest in being a delegate. You have to run for it and be elected at our caucus. But right now, that form has been completed by 30 people. So we're on our way. We're in the right direction, but we still have more spots.
Yeah, we still have a lot more. We have 24 more delegates and 8 more alternatives. So
That's right.
if you're interested in being a delegate, I mean, the caucus is also going to be hybrid. So if you don't want to come to the municipal building in Hyde Park, then you can, you know, come on Zoom, and all that can be found on our website. Correct, Roy?
Yes, it's bostonward18dems.org. bostonward18dems.org. And if you, all the information's there. The caucus will be on Saturday, March 5th. And like you said, Priscilla, it's you could Zoom into that. You don't have to show up in the building if you don't feel it's safe for COVID reasons. You could Zoom in or show up in person.
Peter, you was getting ready to say, were you going to say something?
I was going to say that the I think one of the people who had a vision for a new Ward 18 was the person who's now our mayor, Michelle Wu. Was elected as a member of the Ward 18 committee, and was one of the people who said, you know, this is the window for change. This is the change we want, and started the ball rolling. So this diversity that the Ward 18 committee embodies is quite deliberate and part of her initial vision.
And I'll add to that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna add to that you know, when I heard Mayor Wu, back then City Councilor Wu, was going to be part of the effort, I thought, okay, well, she's a politician, she'll put her name on it and we won't see her. That was not true. She came to the meetings. She rolled up her sleeves and she was strategizing, and we're going to get the lists from here, and she knows she's a politician, so she's got the skills of a politician. But it was really impressive, I have to say.
Very much so.
I appreciated how much she actually got involved with this effort. She kind of put herself out there because, you know, we were kind of upstarts, and she put her weight with us. She didn't have to do that. She could have just stepped aside and said, I'm not going to get involved with that level of politics, but no, she did. She got involved, and I was impressed by that.
Right. So Michelle Wu is part of Ward 18 Ward Committee. Shagun Idol is a part. Kelly Bates, like we said, Tanisha Sullivan. So there's a lot of community people that have been out here in the community doing work, you know. And so it's like, if we can really make some change and bring this together and work together, why not? So I'm excited because I've never been to a convention. And I've been to a couple of caucuses. I think I went to one some years ago. And I think it was at the, oh boy, I can't remember. I know where it's at, but it's the over there by Huntington Ave, that side building.
The Heinz Auditorium?
Heinz,
no,
yeah.
not the Heinz, not that far. On Huntington Ave by,
I know what you're talking about.
with the northeastern.
Northeastern.
But it's a art, some type of art building. I can't think of it. I can't think of it. Anyway, it was a long time ago. And then I went to one in Hyde Park. My sister Sarah, she used to live with me in Rosendale for a while, and she wanted to be an alternate, you know. She actually wanted to be a delegate, but they wouldn't let her. And she couldn't even become a delegate, alternate. And I just didn't understand, but I knew there was a lot of, it was very political. If you didn't work for the city or if you didn't have ties, you couldn't get in. And so that to me was not fair. So I just kind of like, I didn't even get involved anymore. But now I see a new day. I see new people. We have young people. We have older people. I mean, Sandy is amazing with the skill sets and the knowledge that she has. Helena, have you been to any of the conventions?
I have not. I have not. Would love to attend. Looking forward to attending, maybe. But what I will definitely say is, I think I've had this conversation with you, Priscilla, is getting people involved is understanding, of course, first and foremost, the demographics of the community in which Ward 18 is. And so what does that mean to get them involved? And as I mentioned to you earlier this week, one of the things that I constantly do, whether door knocking, email, our Facebook page, etc., is I'm constantly educating my community and looking for where the gaps are in order to disseminate the information or gather the information that is important to my community. So if we don't have those two tools, understanding how to gather that information, how to disseminate that information, then we're missing a whole swath of residents within our community, Ward 18 in particular. So as I had mentioned to you earlier this week, one of the things that I noticed during the campaign season was a lot of my neighbors were asking me, what is an at-large counselor, right? And so for many of us who walk the walk and talk the talk, we're not even thinking about that. But many of my neighbors and people that I even met at the polling station, at the polling station, had no idea what an at-large counselor, what do they do? If we have a district counselor, well, who is this at-large counselor? So I think it's part of someone had asked me like, wow, you all don't just use MailChimp or Constant Contact or whatever for your process of disseminating information. Said we look at the demographics of our community. And one thing that we realized, we have seniors in our community who are not using MailChimp, who are not using Constant Contact, who are not using email.
You gotta call them or knock on their door.
So we knock on their doors. And we still do hard copy newsletters in addition to our electronic newsletters, because if we can't reach all the people, then we're not serving all the people. So that is really important to us. And that even gets down into translation. So we think about all of those things when we're out there, so that the benefit of us going out and reaching our community, we try to target everything that we know is important in order to get the message across or hear what the concerns are.
This is People Power with Priscilla. We are the people and we have the power. And I have on with me today a couple of our Ward 18 Democrat committee members, and also Helena Tonge from the
Belknap Family Neighborhood Association.
Yes, I do mess up names.
Don't worry about it.
And so we're talking about this, our caucus that we're having March 5th, which is in 2 weeks, I believe. And we're going to have a hybrid model. So you can come to the municipal building in Hyde Park, or you could Zoom, and you can still be elected as a delegate as well, correct? Even if you Zoom. So, and also we don't know for sure if the convention is going to be hybrid, right? Yet, or is it? The convention in June.
The state website, the Mass Dems website, says it is going to be hybrid. So as far as I can see, that it will be. So you would be able to actually attend virtually.
Okay. Well, I've never been to a convention, so I'm going to try to make it in person. I think it would be fun. I think it's long. What happened to your hand, Peter? Gee.
I'm sorry. Just it looks worse than it is. It's just
like you got bit by a dog or something.
I know. It's a bit embarrassing, actually.
I hope you're okay.
I'm fine, thank you.
I didn't realize it till you held your head up. This is People Power with Priscilla. We have the people and we have the power. We are Zooming today, and we're talking about our convention, our caucus first, which is March 5th. That's a Saturday. If you are coming in person, you have to get there before 10 a.m. The doors open at 9 and they close at 10, or is it 10:15? We give them 15 extra
I
minutes?
think technically, as long as you're there and checked in by 10:15, you could be you could vote and you could be a candidate for a delegate spot.
Okay.
That's my
And
understanding.
also, there's another requirement. You have to live in Ward 18. And you also have to be a Democrat.
Yeah.
So,
But if you're registered to vote already and you're, say, an independent, you're not registered as a Democrat, you can change your party affiliation the day of the caucus and still be part of the process.
so the only question I would have about that is the folks that are virtual. How would that work, Roy, if they wanted to change, or would they have to change before?
I think there's something about you take an image of your receipt from the state, from the website that shows that you switched party affiliation, and you, as long as you could show that image to to the folks running the Zoom, then you could be in. That's it. Yeah, if you can show proof that you changed your registration. Yeah.
Okay. It's just, go ahead, Peter.
I want to say also that the Democratic Party is very interested in having spots for everybody, including young people.
Mhm.
So anybody, perhaps even in high school, who is not yet a voter, but nevertheless wants to be a delegate, can, if am I right on this, Roy? Can
I think there's a special youth designation. So I think you have to be a registered voter for most of the seats, but I think they have a carve out for like youth, youth delegates. Yeah,
exactly. So this is a way for people young people who have a spirit of activism and engagement to get started in the big leagues, if we may say.
Yes.
I would love to see the ward committee going forward. I mean, we have a lot on our plate right now trying to pull together this caucus, but long term, I would really like to do more work to engage young people in the community for all the reasons that Helena had mentioned. I think you got to start young, right? I mean, it's like civic education, frankly, the students should be learning these things of like what an at-large delegate, is, and I mean, sorry, at-large city councilor is, in school, in high school.
They don't teach anything about civics in school anymore.
There's Boston has an 8th grade civics class. And there's some very good civics teachers in our 8th grades that are out there. But in the high school level, it's very spotty, and there's not really a graduation requirement. Like in the old days, you had to finish a course of civics, a year, 6 semester or a year of civics to graduate from high school in most states. But we've kind of done away with that, and I think we're seeing the results of that across the country. I think we really need more civic education.
Totally, that is so true. So so do you know exactly what the process is for? So we're reaching out. We're talking today because we want people to get involved, to get engaged, because things are happening, and we can have a say in what happens. And this is what it's all about. This is what civic engagement is all about. Us getting involved, us getting our family involved, our friends involved. We would like to see the community building packed, but we know we can't pack it because of COVID. But hopefully, we will have a lot of delegates, people that want to be delegates on Zoom, and we will have people in person. I myself plan to be there in person. I'm just going to double mask myself and, make sure that I'm safe. And because I think it's going to be exciting, because I look at the the Ward 18 committee, and I think we have some exciting people on that committee, it's just that some of them, we have to get them to, like, we got to push them a little bit, like, come on now, come on, we need your help, we need your support. And my thing is that I feel like if you are part of a ward committee, then I think you should, be involved. And so this is what we need. We need involvement. We need people who are committed to the struggle, because it's a struggle, really, trying to vote people in that care about you, who say they care about you, and then the next minute, they're doing something different. So it's politics is just so crazy. I don't know why I like it so much, but it's crazy. Maybe that's why I like it, because I'm crazy. Peter.
I was going to say that if you become a delegate, one of the things that will happen is that all the candidates for election will start to pay attention to you, send you messages, and start to raise your awareness of their platforms, and what they think are the problems of the state that they can address. And that kind of awareness is an education in and itself, and it helps us to get. It helps me, okay? It helps me to sort of get a sense of where it is that we're going and what it is that we can do and who it is that we want to lead us on that way. So I'm looking forward to that period of time after becoming a delegate, before going to the convention, of hearing and listening, and then, talking with neighbors and reflecting on what it is that the candidates are offering and suggesting.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
It's a big year.
Yeah.
And and again, I can't stress enough the education of what is Ward 18 Democrat Committee. What is it? What is the goal? What does it do? What is its purpose? And I was speaking to Peter earlier, and we've figured out a way, and really to be able to support neighbors that want to be actively involved in initiatives, by really saying, for us to look at, this is what we would like to achieve. This is how much time we think it will take. This is how often we think we will need to meet. And so when we present this to our neighbors, that, we could say we meet twice a year. That's it. We would love, you have some great ideas, because oftentimes they do. But understanding, as Peter had mentioned, like, people are really, really busy, and really being able to work within their time frame and letting them see, like, wow, you've got great ideas. We only meet twice a year or for 1 hour, and it becomes a doable thing.
Right.
Versus saying, can you join this? We're like, we need you. And, people first start thinking about all the tasks that they have in their daily lives. And it's like, I just don't have any room. But when you break it down in increments, it becomes more doable for them.
Yes.
I think that's a good point. I would love to see us do like a visioning convening, where we bring the community together in a big way, whether you're part of the committee or not. Just if you're part of the community, to come together. This is like more of a post-COVID, vision, but where we could really gather almost like a retreat, and we kind of share all of our ideas and our vision for the year ahead. And then we go about, maybe creating some committees and some tasks, but really bringing the whole community together for that kind of visioning exercise. I think that would be really valuable. And I think people would be really energized and excited. And maybe you could only sign up for, this small piece, but you're still part of something bigger, because, the more people we engage, the more we can accomplish, like many hands make light work,
That's right. My brother likes to say, if everybody do a little, nobody has to do a lot.
Yeah.
And it's true. You think about it, and so that's what we are looking to do. educate people about the ward committee and what they do, and why it's important to be involved, why it's important to have your voice heard. It's just like when we go out and vote, people always, oh, my vote don't count, my vote don't count. I said the only time your vote don't count is when you don't cast it. And so
And we've had elections within recent memory that were decided by one
vote.
two, or three. One vote. One was one vote, right?
Yes.
And you think that's the difference. My wife and I were having breakfast the day of election day, and oh, we're gonna go vote, and we're having our coffee, and we're trying to decide between two very good candidates who ended up one vote apart from one another, because you have to choose between, with our system where you have a 4 slots, you have to strategize sometimes, right? And after the election came down to one vote, I said to my wife, I said, that conversation we had over coffee this morning decided the election, and so did everybody's that morning. Like, when you said to your husband or wife, like, hey, I think we should vote for this candidate versus this other one. That's the difference between the election. So, there's so many examples like that.
Exactly. And it's so funny because Boston is it's close to 700,000, if not more, people in Boston. And to think that an at-large candidate by one vote, I mean, it's just amazing.
Helena, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, I think what's also important, and, in that infamous song, like My Vote Doesn't Count, it has really relevance. And I think the question is asking that deeper question. Why do you feel that way? Mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. And, and I have a greater understanding from listening to my neighbors and others about, I go to vote and things stay the same, and so forth and so on. So there's, there's the missing loop, and this is the education process, not only within my community, with others that I speak with. And I share a very infamous story, and I won't particularly bring out this particular elected's name, but we had some low-hanging trees in our neighborhood that were very dangerous for cars and students. We have a school in our community. And, we just would say it's a matter of an ice storm or whatever, and these limbs are going to break. And I remember I was just like, I know exactly the person I need to call, because I knew, and I called this particular elected, and I said, this has got to get taken care of. We need to be proactive instead of reactive. This is just a matter of a horror story waiting to happen. And the particular individual was like, well, you can call 311 for that. And I was just like, but 311 wasn't on the ballot. So you said if I needed anything to give you a call, so I'm giving you a call.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm calling you, and it was such a funny story that we became very very connected in that sense of that story. But I think that's the piece that's missing for why my vote doesn't count. That you hear this, like, these campaign, like, this is what I'm trying to do, we want to do this, and then it's to go out and really reach out to our elected officials, to our Ward 18 committee, and say, hey, overall, this is what we're seeing within our community. We really need to address this issue, or we really would like this positive initiative to move forward. We need your support to go forward with that. And I think there isn't a conversation for after the vote. And so I bring my neighbors in with the after the vote, because I'm constantly bringing our elected officials into our community conversations to answer for votes that they are making, to deeply explain, like, what are you doing on the Hill, or what are you doing in city council that directly impacts our community? And I said, those are the conversations that are after the vote, so that our communities have a better understanding that there's work to be done after the vote. It doesn't end at the voting box.
Exactly.
So that's how we do that.
I believe that people feel like after they've went to the polls, it's over. But no, that's where the work begins, Mm-hmm. You have to be able to go to those hearings. You have to be able to listen to them and make your comments, because I know that before COVID, we used to be down City Hall all the time, for the hearings and things like that. And when you're there in person, they act different. I remember, I'll never forget one year, when I was with Mothers for Justice and Equality. We took our young folks, for the summer. We would hire young kids to work with us, and we took them to the city hall. We took them to the state house to meet some of the elected officials. And I was so furious because when we went to city hall, half of the city, first of all, the people that we were supposed to meet, they were late coming in. Okay, all right, that's okay. Then when we got on the floor and people were councils were on their phone texting, and they weren't even paying attention. And I told them, I said, you know what, my young folks weren't impressed with y'all at all, because they're like, what are they doing? I mean, they're supposed to be governing, and they're basically on their phones, and so I was very disappointed in that. But I did go back and tell one of the city councils that that's how they felt, and they wanted to leave. It was totally different when we went to the state house, because when we went to the state house, at the time, Carlos Enrique was the state rep. And when he told his story and he talked to these young kids, they were involved. They were, you could tell that they were hanging on every word that he said. He wound up giving them his cell numbers, because he was interacting with them. He was letting them know, that, this is how I made it. He told a story about how he got started, how he started working, and he was able to get his friends jobs because they saw that he was going to work every day, and he had money on the weekends and things like that. He was able to hire his friends. So it just, I think that, when we're in positions of power, like city council, like state government, and especially when young folks come, we need to make sure that we're educating them, and that we're setting an example, And so I think that I think we're in a year where it's going to be very exciting. We're going to get a new state senator. I'm excited about that, because I wasn't really happy. I'm sorry. I don't bite my tongue. I'm not happy with our current state senator. And so I'm looking for change. I'm also looking for change at City Hall. We have a new mayor. We have new city councilors at large and district. So I want to see some change in my neighborhood.
And Helena, I think you're absolutely right. There are reasons for people feeling cynical about the process when the process doesn't respond to their needs year in and year out. So I appreciate your comment. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I feel like what we're trying to do is part of a longer arc of history that has to do largely with the Democratic Party. We could sit here all day and talk about the Republicans, and we know they're kind of hopeless. But within the Democratic Party, there's also a struggle for, what I would like to say is the Democratic wing of the Democratic Party, which is sometimes referenced, the small d Democratic wing of the Democratic Party. Like people talked about Paul Wellstone at one point. He's the late great Paul Wellstone had been kind of leading that, right, from Minnesota. But we could talk about also, Priscilla and I were talking last night about Fannie Lou Hamer and Fannie Lou Hamer's America. The documentary was just on TV on PBS on Tuesday night. And she's one of Priscilla's heroes. She's one of my heroes. And the local Bob Moses of Cambridge, who also passed away just last year, like John Lewis, who also passed away last year. These were folks that were, Mississippi Freedom Democrats. They ran their own slate. They were the original fresh slate. They ran their own slate. And because the Democratic Party in the South was completely racist and, did not allow Black people to vote. So they said, we're going to elect our own delegates. And they went through the whole process from the wards to the cities, to the counties, to the state, to the national convention in Atlantic City. And they wouldn't give them the seat. They wouldn't seat them in 1964. Right. And so, there's a long history in this country of specifically African-Americans fighting for the heart and soul of America, but also the heart and soul of the Democratic Party. Yes. So I feel like we are part of, I like to I humbly say I would like to be part of that trajectory of history. And it's I'm reading a book now about William Monroe Trotter, which goes even back, which was written by a local historian, African-American woman who teaches at Tufts. And that's going back even further in history. This is like the late 19th and early 20th century, long before the Civil Rights Movement. William Monroe Trotter started something called the Boston Suffrage Association. What were they fighting for? They were fighting for the right to vote in 1905. So I love history. To me, history enriches my life and informs my actions. So I think that's another part of the educational system. We need to learn our history. This is Black History Month. I love Black History Month, but if this is Black History Month, what are the other 11 months of the year? The bleach history months, because there's no history in this country without Black people in it, period.
It's really sad, that we only have 1 month, all the work that we've done in this country forever and ever and ever. And they give us one lousy month. But
yeah,
Black history is every day because we're making history every day. So.
Exactly. All right. Okay. Exactly.
I will step down off of my soapbox now. Priscilla's like, why did I invite Roy on this show?
No, but it's you're out here, you're doing the work, and that's what we need. We need to hear from the people, the Helenas and the Roys and the people that are out here doing the work, their own time, taking their time, knocking on doors, informing and educating our community, because that's what we need. We need to be educated about the things that we need, the things that we can do. You'd be surprised what we can do if we put our mind to it. Mm-hmm. We're actually, we have a little group, it's called Senior Soldiers. We haven't been able to do it since COVID, but we have a group of seniors that, we're going to start going down to City Hall to the hearings on Wednesday and, talking to them and finding out what's going on and, come back and meet with each other and talk. We can do this now by Zoom or we could do it in person,
Yeah.
If people have the technology, like if they have a tablet or if they have a smartphone, they literally can, attend the hearings by Zoom. You can write to your elected officials anytime you want. If you can't attend the hearing, you can write to them. When I can't attend the hearings and I want my voice to be heard, I write a letter on what my testimony is, and I make sure everybody gets it. All the city councils, I CC every one of them, because I think it's important. And I have 2 minutes left. Can you believe that? So I'm going to have to wrap up. But listen, March 5th, everybody, go give us the website again, Roy, so people can go and register. It's going to be a new day, a new season, and new people.
It's Boston.
I love it.
Ward 18 Dems.org. It's a little bit long. Boston Ward 18 Dems.org. I should say it's the number. Boston Ward 18 Dems.org. And if you go to that website, there's lots of information on that site, but on the main page, on the homepage, if you scroll down a little bit, there's all the information about the caucus, and there's the link to the delegate interest form. Please fill it out if you'd like to be a delegate. If we don't have 54 plus the 8 alternates, we have less than that number. We're going to have a single slate that will approve by affirmation. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to come down to election unless you had more than the 54. But we're still looking for people to step up and become delegates to go to the state convention.
Thank you all. Love and appreciate all of you all. We'll have you all back again, maybe after the caucus, before the convention.
Okay.
Thank you, Helena. I really appreciate you. All the work you're doing, all the work you're going to do. Peter, take care of that hand. And we'll talk soon.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.